Everybody, I'm Pierre Bouvard, Chief Insights Officer here at Cumulus Media in Westwood One. And today we want to know about the very latest on the relationship between TV ratings and radio ratings and why the drive time myth could be so harmful to your advertising results. Today we're going to share some findings from our recently refreshed audio planning guide. A key input to this planning guide is a study from Nielsen that's produced quarterly. It's called the Total Audience Report, and it examines audiences to social media, online video, radio, and TV on an apples-to-apples basis, looking at a typical week and looking at time spent as well as reach. Of course, then you can combine those to get average audience. And one of the surprising findings from the just released Q3 2023 Total Audience Report is the fact that AM/FM radio ratings continue to beat TV among 18 to 49s. This is a surprising and new development. So Total Audience Report looks at social, online video, connected TV devices, live and time shifted TV, and AM/FM. And as you take a look to the left of your screen, you will see something that you might have heard over the last decade from Nielsen. And that on an 18 plus basis, American AM/FM radio is the #1 mass reach media. So you can see in a typical week, 84% of Americans are reached by AM/FM radio. That's more than social, online video, TV connected devices, and surprisingly, live and time shifted TV. You can see down at the bottom there at 72%, that means 28% of Americans are not reached by linear TV in a typical week. And on the right-hand side, we zoom in on adults 18-49 radio, tied for #1 with social, and then closely following our online video, TV connected devices. But look distantly, #5 there, a distant #5 is TV with only a 58% reach. So if we combine the reach and the average time spent, which you can develop, is the average tuning minutes to TV and radio. And so let's take a look at the relationship between radio and TV ratings going back over the last 6 years. So back in 2018, radio audiences were about half of TV ratings. On an 18 to 49 basis, you can see the radio ratings for 18-49 were about 63% of TV, and they pretty much stayed that way. But then in 2021, that gap started closing. You can see it became 83%. And then last year, radio beat TV in 18 to 49 rating. And this year, radio is pulling away, beating TV on an 18 to 49 rating basis. Now, is radio audiences growing so dramatically versus TV? No, this is just the collapse of American linear TV. And if you're an advertiser that depends heavily on local TV, local cable, or network TV or network cable, obviously this is a major issue. So let's focus in on 18 to 49. To the left of your screen, you have reach. To the right of your screen, you have average daily time spent. You can see on a reach basis, radio is decisively beating TV, 81% to 58%. And then to the right of your screen, on an average daily time spent, both are about the same, a little bit over an hour of time spent. So let's look at the history here on TV. 18 to 49 is the demo we're looking at here. Reach to the left of your screen, time spent to the right of your screen. You can see the reach for TV has been dramatically collapsing. 82% of Americans 18 to 49 were reached by linear television in 2018. Now it's only 58%. That's a 29% erosion in reach. But the time spent drop has been even more severe. Back in 2018, Americans were spending almost 3 hours a day with linear TV, now down to only an hour. So this has been a sharp, sharp erosion. Now, what does it mean for you as an advertiser? Well, let's take a look at these 6 quick service restaurant brands. We went into Nielsen Media Impact, the optimization and planning platform, and pulled a typical month of their actual TV campaign back in the 2021 time period. And then we compared it to the same month in the most recent year. We looked at May 2023. And so what you can see is sharp erosion in TV reach delivered. So in the case of Taco Bell, back in a couple of years ago, their TV campaign in a typical month was reaching half of 18 to 49-year-olds. Now it's down to only 36%. And if you look up and down the line here, the average brand on American television has seen their reach delivery plummet by 34%. Now, one of the other trends that we're watching through the lens of Nielsen's total audience report is the age skew of American linear television. One pundit noted that TV is what's playing in God's waiting room. Well, it does skew old. The gray bars here represent TV audience composition. The blue bars represent radio audience composition. You can see that 49% of the American TV audience is over the age of 65. 80% of the American TV audience is over the age of 50, while radio is more evenly distributed. You know, you've got 40% of the audience that's 1849. So radio, much bigger reach, diverse audience across the demographics. TV collapsing reach, heavily favoring the older demographics. Now, let's take a look at a myth about radio listening that's actually can be quite destructive to sales results. It's the drive time myth. So we wanted to look at the perception of where radio listening occurs among advertisers and agencies and compare that to the Nielsen reality. There's a company called Advertiser Perceptions. They run very consistently studies of media agencies and marketers and brands, asking them a whole series of questions. And one of the things that they've been asking is how much radio listening occurs by time period. And so here is the results of a recent study they conducted in November of 23. They surveyed 305 brand marketers and media agencies. As you can see, the perception is a little under half of all American radio listening occurs in the drive times, morning and afternoon. Middays is only 16% of listening. That's the perception. Nights and weekends are about the same. So that is the perception of the people that spend the money. Now let's take a look at the Nielsen reality in terms of actual share of time spent by day part. This from the Nielsen nationwide study from spring of 2023, and that's represented by the blue bars. So where are the big disconnects? Well, the big disconnect you can see is midday. Marketers and media agencies dramatically underestimate the importance of midday tuning. They think it's only 16% of listening. It's actually 26% of listening occurs in midday. It's the most listened to day part on American radio. Marketers and media agencies overestimate the importance of drive time, but look to the right of your screen. Look at weekends. They miss it there. Weekends is 20% of American radio listening. The perception is only 15%. There is as much listening occurring to the radio on the weekend as there is in a typical drive time. Now, let's take a look at the share of tuning by day part across a whole bunch of different demos, 12 demos here on the page, 1834, 1849, 2554, 3564. The main message here is how consistent the share of tuning by day part really is. There's very, very little difference. And so the key here is if you want to maximize reach to drive success for your store or your brand, use all days and day parts, because that's really how you build reach and you build success. The gurus of advertising and marketing effectiveness all agree on a couple of things, but one of them for sure is that reach is how advertising works. Erwin Efron is the father of modern media planning. He said, remind the many Don't lecture the few. He said most advertising works by reminding people about brands they know when they happen to need the product. The most influential book on marketing effectiveness, Dr. Byron Sharp, How Brands Grow. Ad Age said, at its heart, the main message of the book is recognizing that your store customers, your brand customers come and go, so winning requires broad reach. Right up there on some of the most recognized marketing effectiveness gurus, Les Binet and his colleague Sarah Carter in their book, How Not to Plan, 66 Ways to Screw It Up, one of the best books on understanding how marketing works, says, don't target too narrowly. It might be efficient, but it's rarely effective. Tight targeting means low sales and profits. And lastly, WARC, which is the organization that is devoted to the study of marketing effectiveness, says the primacy of reach to media effectiveness remains undimmed. So get the reach up as best you can, and you'd be amazed if you take the same budget and by diversifying that budget across the day, the impact it can have on your reach. This only by drive time media plan concept is very destructive to campaign reach and results. Let's take a look. This is an actual campaign. It's a marketer that was targeting 25 to 49-year-olds, and they put all their weight in morning drive, and they reached about 22% of the demographic. But look what happens if you take the same budget and you spread it out over more day parts. Same budget. By adding in middays and afternoons, the reach grew from 22 to 26%. And then by opening up nights and bringing in weekends, the reach goes from 22 to 33%. Same budget. This is a 54% increase in reach for the same budget. So the best practice here by all days and day parts. So the key takeaways from the latest Nielsen Total Audience Report, AM/FM is pulling away from TV in 18 to 49 ratings. AM/FM is reaching 40% more 18 to 49s in a typical week than linear TV. Daily time spent is about the same. And the profile audience composition of American TV is skewing old. It's apparently what's playing in God's waiting room. Now, when it comes to day parts, there's a disconnect between perception and reality. Marketers and media agencies underestimate the importance of weekends, the importance of middays especially. So the media planning best practice, allocate weight across all days and day parts. The Audio Active Group here at Cumulus Media in Westwood One is a full service national brand advisory helping marketers understand audio creative best practices, media planning, audio strategic allocation, and the measurement of impact, whether that is driving search and site traffic, brand effect, sales effect, or creative effectiveness. Each and every week, we publish a new audio case study. You can find it on our websites, cumulusmedia.com.